Hey guys, this is Locke. This is my review on Seymore. I have seen a lot of people talking about him and how good he is with the level 120 update, so I thought I would cover him in detail. I think he is very good, but he also has some weaknesses, so I'll be sure to cover both sides of it. To start off, as an MR unit, we are always worried about the unit not having as much stats as a UR unit, which is, kind of obvious. So I wanted to see exactly what his stats look like. Now, Titus is a unit that I use all the time, and I believe everyone at least has because you got it for free. Uh, and so I believe that Titus is always a good benchmark for units whenever I compare them. I don't expect an MR unit to be as good as Titus, but at least it shows me a good comparison, in my opinion, like a good benchmark. So anyway, let's take a look. So I think the attack is not too bad off. Also, I should mention that this is the stats that is like, unit level plus job level plus board. So if I add like a 10% agility card, I'm not expecting them to get like 10% of this agility because this includes the board stats, and the board stats are not included in calculations where you take a percent of something. So I'd have to remove the board stat, but this is just a unit by itself looking at the stats. So anyway, the attack is not too bad off. It's 444 for Titus versus 396 for Seymore. It is about like a 10% difference there. This is not too bad. Now, health, however, is a bigger chunk, and it's off by quite a bit, like 600, which is a lot in my opinion. And also, Seymour gets a lot more HP from the board than Titus does, so I expect that to be quite a bit less than Titus. He won't be as tanky in the sense of HP as Titus. Dexterity is fine. It's okay. Agility is also okay, 67 and 64. It's pretty high for an MR, so that's good. Luck is okay, I guess. I mean, it's quite a bit lower. It's 20% lower, but it's not too bad. I also wanted to mention that he gets plus 30 accuracy from his mastery, which helps him to hit units because a lot of MR units, one of their biggest concerns is that they don't have enough dexterity to hit units. So at least he's good in at least he's better than average compared to most other MRs with hitting other units. Now anyway, let's get into some of the pros. So he has one skill that applies a disable and a slow, which is phenomenal. I think it's really good because generally when a unit gets disabled and you can't remove their disable, you kind of just want them to stand still so that they conserve 40% of their CT, like basically conserve 40 CT and get that disable off sooner. If you add slow into the mix, now they're going to take more turns to get that disable off. So I think that the combination of having both in one skill is really good. Now with his X, well, actually that disable comes from the X, but his X 120 skill gives him an AoE sleep, which is again very good. It's a good skill to have because not so many people build sleep resistance right now. They're building like disable and stop resist and confusion resist, but not so much sleep. With his thief subjob, he also gets access to charm and confusion, so he gets access to 5 different status effects, which is great for one unit to have. Usually an opponent unit will not have resistance to all 5 of these, so you can at least do something to them. You have an option of doing something. Now, with a lot of people having King Mont, at least I'm going to assume a lot of people have King Mont because a lot of people were waiting for him. So Berserk is going to be a status effect that's going to be around for a while, and he has 40% resistance to Berserk. So I think that's pretty good. He also has 50% resistance to Charm. I see a lot of people playing Kiza again because of her 120x, and now with Seymore, you might see Charm around even more. So having resistance to Berserk and Charm, I think is great. He is quite agile, because he has access to move 4 with the Thief Lore passive and Hayate letting him move around. He is quite good in an evade build because of his Thief subjob, which gives him Shadowcast and Steel Vision. Shadowcast gives 42 evade compared to the evade that you get from the Samurai subjob, which is only 25. But I think, as I mentioned before, like evade is not as strong as it was before compared to the pre-X era. So if you're going for an evade build and the enemy doesn't have a guaranteed hit unit, using Steel Vision was probably a very good idea. So if you use like him and 2B, for example, and they might maybe have like a 30% chance to hit 2B. If you Steel Vision them, they have 0% chance. So I think for evade builds, Steel Vision is actually very good. Of course, as long as they don't have a guaranteed hit unit. If they have a guaranteed hit unit, if they have a 100% chance to hit or 0% chance to hit, it doesn't matter. They're going to hit you. So those are the pros. Now let's get into some of the cons. This has always been a con of mine, the range. I always, for some reason in my head, it's always range 5 is the average, anything below is slightly below, and anything higher is better. So he only has range 4, but I think quite a lot of units, especially the ones that I've been covering, have range 4, so I think it's not too bad. The range height is limited to is limited to 1, except for one skill, actually 2 skills that have height 2 and range 3. Those skills are launch and high-in. Now this is quite a big con in my opinion. He has negative resistance to magic and pierce, and he has neutral resistance to slash and missile. He only has a positive resistance to strike. I will cover that on a little bit more on that on the last point. But let me talk about the MR shards. So you need 600 normal shards to get a level to get a UR to level 99, whereas you need only 500 shards to get an MR to 99. However, to get them both to X, you need an additional 400 shards. And all the other things that you need, like prisms and fragments of thoughts, they are not less for a MR unit. So in my opinion, it is still quite expensive to get a MR unit to 120. And how are you going to get these 400 MR shards anyway? Like, you have to spend the Vizier to buy them, I guess, or you have to get lucky on pulls. Like, I always do my hard quests for UR units, not MR units. So in my opinion, it's a bit hard to get those. Now, they're not bulky enough, so this goes hand in hand with the point I just spoke about with the negative magic resistance and lower HP. So typically, if I compare to a unit like Agrius, which is maybe an unfair comparison, but like if I'm using a unit that I want them to disable and like interrupt the enemy by using a lot of status effects, I want them to use a unit that is quite tanky. So Agrius fits right in because she can take a lot of hits. She has many different abilities that can shield her, and like Saintly Wall and Sentinel and things like that. Whereas Seymore just doesn't have that. And on top of that, he has lower HP, and he has only positive strike resistance. So even if you build a lot of HP by giving him like like a 25% fire card or something, 25% HP fire card, or other such things, maybe like Golem Esper and things like that to increase his HP, I think that because he has like 0 or negative resistance to most types of damage, he just doesn't seem to be a bulky unit for me. That's just my opinion. That's what I think. Comparing him to the other available options. So that's the reason why I don't think he's very bulky. Now, for final thoughts, I think even though he's not bulky, I think he'll be good for an evade build. Especially, as I said, he has Steel Vision compared to other units that only have like the Samurai sub 4 evade. He has Steel Vision and Shadowcast, so it gives him quite a boost to his evasion. And I think there are a lot of CMs that the cost is 220. So you can't bring 3 URs unless you're bringing 2 70 cost UR, but they're limited. So I think he will be quite good in CMs that you want to bring him to, which are limited by cost of 220. Xing MR units still cost quite a lot. Like, you still need 400 shards. I mentioned this before, and then you still need the other items like the 6 Paradise of Blooms and all the Awakening Prisms and stuff like that. So it's not, I don't know if you want to invest so much into an MR unit. Like, I was hesitant to talk about Mont before because everybody already has 400 of Mont shards to X him. Like, you can X him, you just need the other materials, but you already have the shards for him. With Seymore, I don't feel as uncomfortable talking about him because if you're going to go for Seymore, most likely you don't have an extra 400 shards lying around waiting to X him. If you do, you probably have all the materials to X a bunch of units. So if you're going to X Seymore, you actually have to you have to actually go for it. You have to buy his shards. You have to you farm his hard quest or something. So you have to actually think about it. So that's why I'm more comfortable talking about him and saying, oh, these are the good things about him. These are the bad things, and you can make your decision. Personally, I will not be going for Seymore. I don't want to have him LB5, so I would have to invest quite a bit of resources to, first of all, actually acquire all the shards to X him, And then with all the other things that you need to go for, like the prisms and stuff like that, I would rather spend my energy focusing on UR units. For the cost perspective, there are other units that I find more interesting, like even Zazan, for example, or Liarte already have the regular amount at 120. So I will just probably make do with what I have from a cost perspective for the 220 cost limitation of CMs. But I still think he's a good unit in the right builds. As I said, in the evade build, he is a really good disruptor, having access to all those status effects, and he has resistance to two of what I'm assuming is going to be like a popular run status effects that you run into, especially in CM. I can see a lot of people using Berserk and Charm in CMs. So anyway, that's my review for him. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think of it about him. Let me know if you're gonna build him, and how much success you have with him. Take care now. Have a good day.